Hi, I'm Adam from blisssnowboards.co.uk. I'm just going to talk you through how to choose a snowboard boot and really the differences between them that you don't get from just looking at a picture of them. So we'll kind of delve a bit deeper. First off, it's really important when buying a snowboard boot that it fits right and that it's comfortable. So that's the most important factor of choosing a boot. So strongly recommend, if you can, to come see us here at Bliss Snowboards and try some boots on. If you can't though, hopefully this will give you an idea of what you're looking at online and the reasons for lots of the price differences in the boots. So first up, we've got the lacing systems. That's what most people kind of see when they're looking at a new boot, especially when they're all on the shelf. There's quite a few different types of lacing systems. Each brand does their own version, but they can be, there's kind of three main ones, so they kind of split into three types. We've got traditional lacing on here, so kind of classic lace up boot. We also have the BOA system. Okay, this is, again, comes in lots of different forms, varying with each brand and each style of boot, but essentially it's a kind of quick lace wire system here. You just dial in your boot with the dial on the front. So that's that. And then there's also quick lace systems. Again, every brand has their own version of this, but these are essentially a quick pull lace on the top here as well. So nice quick lacing systems. What I would say about the different types of lacing systems is to try not to get too fixed on one. It's worth kind of trying the boot on and going for fit, and then, you know, the lacing system really gives the boot its characteristics, and it's all part of it. So I'd have an open mind when trying on snowboard boots. There's also lots of brands now starting to combine different types of lacing systems to try and give you the best fit. So one of the most important things that affects the fit of the boot is actually the liner, and this is often overlooked because you can't see it from the outside of the boot. But these vary quite a lot, and each brand does different levels of liner as well. So I'll just give you a quick overview of those, because they vary for each brand, but will give you an idea of what to look at, and they all tend to follow a similar trend. Okay, so your entry-level boots, ones with a lower price tag, will have a liner kind of similar to this. Again, it varies with each brand. This is a 32 liner. They call it level 1, so 32 have a level 1, level 2, level 3 liner. With Burton, they call it an imprint 1, imprint 2, imprint 3, but the same principle. Level 1 is your basic liner. With 32, this is intuition foam, so still heat moldable, but a fairly kind of general fitting liner, not super high performance from it, but a great comfort fit for a first snowboard boot. You know, definitely a step up from having a rental boot that 100 people have worn before you. So if you're looking for your first boot or don't want to spend a lot of money, then you know, definitely don't rule out level 1 liners. As you can see here with this level 1, the laces are on the outside here to do up, so they're attached. And also the kind of footbed that comes with these is like this, generally just a kind of piece of foam, soft foam with a fur top, pretty basic again in terms of footbed. Obviously these can be replaced, and talk about those a bit later on. As a comparison, we've got level 2 liner from 32. So you can see here straight away, just by looking at them side by side, that there's quite a different look to these liners, and a bit more going on when you pay a bit more money for the level 2. So one of those differences is that the laces aren't attached to the liner. Okay, they're actually fixed inside the shell of the boot, as you can see here. So what happens with this is when you do up your laces, it's actually fastening with this bit of fabric here all around the back of your ankle. So the level 2 liner like that, you're getting a much firmer fit. It's also helping hold the liner inside the snowboard boot, so more response, more performance from that. With the level 2 as well, in terms of the footbed, again, once you pull them out of the boot, it's quite clear to see that there's a difference. The level 2 liner just having more of a shape to it, more of a heel support with this hard shank around the heel here. Also, with some of the boots, like the higher end 32 ones, this is actually heat moldable, as well as the heat moldable intuition liner. Generally speaking, the higher level liners have a higher level of heat moldability, so more of the boot will mold, and it's definitely the case for 32. A couple of other features with the 32 one specifically, you get things like a neoprene area in the front. That just reduces the chance of your toes banging against the end of your boot. And also you can even add your own extra bits of padding in the ankle as well to get a better fit. So that's kind of a quick overview of liners. Like I say, each brand is going to differ slightly on how they do things, but generally speaking, they'll have at least 3 levels of liner that go up in price. So worth having a look at those when you're deciding what boots to try. It's also important to say that if you try on a 32 boot with a level 1 liner, it's going to fit differently to a 32 boot with a level 2 or 3 liner. So just because you've had one type of boot, maybe it wasn't great for you, doesn't mean that the same brand doesn't have a different option that will work for you. Another important factor to consider when you're selecting your pair of boots is the flex of them. So the same with your snowboard and even your bindings. You want to have a flex that's kind of appropriate to your style and maybe ability of riding. So a softer boot, as with a softer snowboard, will be more forgiving. A stiffer boot will be more responsive. So they're the general rules. Doesn't mean that if you're an advanced rider, you have to be in a stiff boot. It may be that you like a softer flexing boot. Maybe it better suits your freestyle riding, for example. So with flex ratings, lots of the brands give you a number out of 10. Just a word on that to say that it's a guide, but there's no industry standard. It doesn't transfer from brand to brand, and you don't have to have the exact same flex rating of your boot as your board and bindings. It's just not that accurate, but it gives you an idea of where you're at. A boot that has a flex rating of 3 out of 10 compared to one that's 8 out of 10, there's definitely going to be a difference there. So again, good to try your boots on and see how they flex and what kind of suits you. You will generally find that the boots with the level 1 liners, kind of lower down in the line, tend to be softer. And then as you spend more money, they're adding more materials to make the boot stiffer and more supportive and more responsive. So yeah, like I say, generally a more expensive boot will have a stiffer flex. Another thing you might notice as well, especially if you're here and you're able to pick up boots, is the difference in the weight of the boots. So lots of brands try to reduce the weight of their snowboard boots just to make it easier, basically. Kind of walking around, less weight on your feet means that you have more energy for riding. So brands like 32 have the STI Evolution foam, and Burton do a similar thing as well with their soles, where basically it's made of one material, which is very lightweight. If you can reduce the weight of this part of your boot, then you make a massive weight saving. With the soles like this, great for kind of resort riding, in that they give you enough grip, lots of dampening, so they're very comfortable. What I will say though is if you're out kind of hiking and you need to have a really, really reliable grip and you need like a harder wearing sole, then you want to be looking at a higher end boot, which probably has more kind of rubber on the bottom of the sole. So the rubber is heavier, but it gives you a more durable sole and it gives you better grip when you're kind of walking over kind of variable terrain. So your kind of higher end boots will, they'll be more expensive, they'll be stiffer, they'll probably be heavier as well, in part due to the sole, and in part due to making it a stiffer boot as well. So adding extra materials to make it stiffer and more responsive. So with that, again, like a more expensive boot generally will outlive a softer boot. Just the nature of it, it's going to move less tension going through it. And also because it's going to have the heavier, kind of more durable additions. So this boot here from Northwave even has a Vibram sole, so really good for hiking around the resort and off-piste as well, out of bounds. So again, just going back to footbeds, obviously these we can change. So we can pull these out, we can do a custom mold footbed if you come down and see us. and also there's some off-the-shelf options as well, so you can kind of buy those online and pop them in at home. Worth considering, because it will help stabilize your foot. In some cases it will give you extra support, so good option if you're looking for, you know, the best kind of fit is to also consider a custom insole as well. And then lastly, spending a lot of money on your boots, you want to be comfortable. It's a really good investment, spending a bit of money on some decent socks as well. Here our kind of top end sock is the Falca SBT. These have a merino wool in the blend, so super breathable, quick drying, antibacterial. They've also got all these kind of stretch zones and padding on them as well, so stops the sock slipping down. They're kind of low bulk, padding where you need it, nice and breathable, so that your feet don't get too hot as well. Like I say, worth investing in decent socks if you're spending a lot of money on your snowboard boots. A couple of decent pairs of socks will outlast and definitely outperform multiple pairs of cheaper socks, so worth looking into those.